Hello students, Paulette Stevenson here, your instructor for English 102. This is our course introduction video. So I want to go over the syllabus, the course policies, and some ways to navigate Canvas. First of all, our course is completely online and takes place in Canvas. And this is what you should see when you show up. So the calendar, there's normally stuff in the calendar, but for right now, our course isn't necessarily published, so it doesn't see there, but you'll always have calendar stuff here. You'll have, in the home section, you'll have announcements. So I send out reminder announcements about the work that you have to do in the course. So on a Tuesday, for instance, I'll send out a reminder announcement. Hey, make sure you do X in the course, and that'll come up too. So you'll want to make sure that you set up your the way you get information from Canvas. I know sometimes you can go in through the settings and have them send you emails of any announcements posted, anything that's graded, things like that. So that might be something you should do to make sure that you succeed in the course. The first thing I want to go over is the syllabus. So, if this is your first college class or your 10th college class, you'll know that the syllabus is basically our document for the course that tells you a lot about the course, including the policies, the gradings, the grading stuff, the schedule, the assignments, things like that. So you'll want to definitely follow the syllabus. So when we navigate Canvas, I suggest to students go through modules. We basically work project to project. So the first module is called Start Here, and it has the welcome letter that I sent out, the syllabus, which we'll go over in just a minute, a link to MCC's Help Center. So if you have any technical issues with Canvas or with Google Docs, you should definitely use this. They're available to call or chat or email. They're pretty good with student questions. So, if you're having trouble posting something to Canvas, they're trained to help you out with it. So definitely contact them. And then we have the Cyber Cafe, which we'll talk about. So that's in the Start Here module. So I'm going to open up the syllabus and I'm going to download it because we're going to spend some time in it. So this still should, our syllabus should say English 102. It says English 101, even though I've changed it like 4 times. But this is our English 102 class. And we are 3 credit hours. I teach 2 sections of this. So you'll notice this on the syllabus, and you'll notice it when we go through Canvas. I'm only going through 1 course shell, but they're pretty much the same. You all are in different courses. So if you have a different line number, you're in with only the people in your line number. I am available through the messaging system in Canvas. So if you need anything, that's one really good way to get a hold of me. You could also email me. There's my email address. I am on Skype, but I don't tend to sign on, so you would have to get a hold of me to do like a Skype chat. If you needed something, we could definitely do that. It's rare, but it's not unheard of. If you request it, we definitely could do that. This is our required textbook. It definitely buy it now, buy it soon, buy it early. There's a little bit of a buffer in the first week. I have other materials we're using, but we lean heavy on the textbook. And I try to pick something that is as reasonably priced as I possibly can for you all, knowing that textbook prices are definitely high. If you have a problem getting the textbook, I would reach out to a friend and see if you could borrow some money or see what you can do. There's always rental options available. Just keep in mind, like, we lean so heavily on the textbook at some point in the course that it becomes difficult to complete the course without it, if that makes any sense. There's the link to the MCC bookstore. The technologies we will be using in the class will basically be Canvas, Google Docs, and then you'll need to have an email account that's linked, that is, maybe you just use your Maricopa or MCC Gmail, or it's linked to there. So meaning that there's some forwarding going on there, so that, if you get emails through MCC or from me through MCC, that it's forwarded to the one that you normally check. So we are at English 102. Like I said, I edited all this stuff, but I'm not sure why it didn't come out in this. So I'll make sure this is the correct syllabus. It says English 101 instead of 102. So these are the kind of stuff we're thinking of. Rhetorical knowledge, critical thinking, processes, knowledges of conventions, and that's the kind of work we're doing here. So our coursework looks like this. We have 3 major papers, and that's how our course works, is we basically work paper to paper. So if you'll notice, after the Start Here module, the next module is paper 1, and that's what you have available to you. So we start, here's an assignment sheet, here's, and these modules kind of follow the syllabus, so as you need it. But the assignment sheets tell you what's in that major assignment. So this is your first assignment, and this is the assignment sheet for that first assignment. And it has all the details, how long it's supposed to be, things like that. So you'll want to keep on that stuff. But that's how our course is organized. So, we work paper to paper. So we work on paper 1, we think about what kind of skills we need to do it, we practice those, we write a topic proposal, we write a rough draft, and we read each other's rough draft, and then we turn it in a final, and then we start on paper 2, and the same process for paper 2, and the same process for paper 3. Throughout the semester, we have 10 discussions. So this is like the daily work of a face-to-face class, would be coming into class and having discussions. We do those online, and your expectation is that for each discussion, you kind of participate twice. So one day, everyone will put together a really big post, or a larger post, a 250-word post after, say, reading a chapter in the textbook, and you'll answer a prompt, and then 2 days later you'll come back and you'll read each other's discussions, and you'll decide to reply to 2 people. So this is what this looks like. So for example, for discussion 1, this is what it says. So this is the reading requirement. Read this article, which is linked here, and it'll open up. And the prompt asks you to introduce yourself to the class in a couple of sentences. It goes on. So the first thing you need to do is you need to answer this prompt by March 21st before midnight. Then anytime before March 23rd before midnight, you need to respond to 2 people. So that's the discussions. We have 10 of those in the semester. And as you'll notice in the syllabus schedule, they're peppered throughout the different papers. So we start thinking about our projects through discussions, and it transitions into topic proposals and rough drafts and final drafts. Because this is a shortened class, so we're squeezing 16 weeks of material into 7 weeks, we often are doing one discussion after another, and sometimes these bleed into drafting and revising work. Every paper you'll go through a topic proposal. So you'll give me kind of, this is what I plan on doing for this project. And this gets you feedback for just the initial stages of thinking, right? Maybe you're like not really sure that this is even a good idea, so you want to run it by me. That's exactly what the topic proposal is for. It doesn't have to be super fleshed out. It's 250 words. So you'll see it here under paper 1. You'll see there's the topic proposal assignment. You'll click on it and it asks you specific questions. Post a 250-word topic proposal here. Use the assignment sheet as a guide, so the assignment sheet for paper 1, and think about these questions. So that's exactly what you do. You hit submit assignment, you type it in the text box, and then you get some feedback from myself on your topic proposal. Rough drafts. Each of you will write rough drafts for each of your essays. We are turning those in on Google Docs. I'll go over this in a little more detail in a separate video where I deal with Google Docs. But it's a really great way to read drafts of essays and comment on them. So here's the link to the rough draft for paper 1. You'll open it up and it's this Google Doc folder where you will drag and drop your file into. And then once a bunch of people's drafts are in there, you'll be able to pick 2 people's drafts and read them. And Google Docs has some of the best commenting software out there, so we can really target areas in people's drafts to comment on each other's. So that's rough draft. And then peer review is exactly that. You will put comments on each other's draft using Google Docs. So for example, I know this is the assignment sheet, but if this was Google Docs, I could go in and I could put a comment here, like, hey, great intro. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete that because that's not what we're doing. But that just shows you, so at the end of getting you'll get most likely 2 to 3 people's feedback, at least one classmate and myself. And at least, actually, you'll at least just get myself. So when you get your draft back, it'll have so many comments on the side that you'll have a lot of avenues to take to revise to the final. And then finally, final reflect. So at the end of the class, final reflections. This is where you kind of reflect on your whole stuff in the class. You also do a cyber cafe. This is, so in module 1, or in Start Here module, sorry, it is a discussion board that is open all semester, and I ask you to ask general questions here. Maybe you're confused about something in Canvas or in the syllabus or how to do something, just general like how-to questions with the course. Ask them here. Because somebody else might have the same question, so it's helpful for them to see their question get answered here. Maybe also you're like kind of an advanced user here and you're very, very comfortable with the course, and so instead of asking questions, you want to answer questions. So this is your spot as as students to ask those questions. I tell students, don't email me these questions. I mean, I am available through email, but I'd rather you post general questions here so that other people can benefit from them. You could also subscribe to something like this, and anytime somebody posts a new comment, it will send you an email about that. As the instructor, I subscribe to this myself because I want to know how you're doing it, how you're, if people are posting in here. This goes on all semester. You receive 2 points extra credit for participating in this forum for the entire semester. So I suggest that students check in on this pretty frequently. Normally, this has a lot of activity in the beginning of the semester because you all are trying to orient the course. I also say I will come in and clarify things. If everyone's kind of super confused about something, or if a question doesn't get answered within 24 hours, I'll come in and clarify. I also might, maybe somebody asks a question and the person afterwards is like, I think this is how it works. I might also come in and be like, yes, that's exactly how it works. But it's a great, I want us to use this as a great, like, hey, what's going on in class? I tell students this is like after classes or before class starts in a face-to-face class, you're often asking the person next to you these same questions, like, hey, how do I do that? Like, where's the Google Docs stuff? Or do you know what we're supposed to write for paper number 1? And the person next to you is like, of course, there's an assignment sheet. Let me show you. So in a lot of ways, some of the questions that get asked here are easily answerable. Obviously, if you're asking a personal question, a question about your personal grade, a question about an extension on a paper or something like that, that's something to go ahead and open a Canvas message for me. I will definitely I'll take anything that you send to me. But in the first couple of days, I might say, hey, could you also post this on the Cyber Cafe? This is a great question for us, right? So that's the Cyber Cafe. Ignore this thing about introductions, because that's basically what we're doing in discussion 1. So this is the grade breakdown. We're out of 100 points. You'll notice that the papers themselves are all worth 60 points. So the major projects are weighted heavily, and then the day-to-day work is about 40 points. So the discussions, the topic proposals, the rough drafts, the peer reviews, and the final reflections, you get points for doing those. So I'm not going to go over every policy on the syllabus, but I want to highlight a couple. Attendance is the big thing. This online course is not self-paced. We rely on each other. We rely on each other all the time. We go through the entire writing process with each other, and that takes a community. So you need to be up on your online work. This is a 7.5-week course. It takes a lot of your time, but it's definitely over really quickly if you're able to commit that time. So our attendance policy is pretty strict. You get 4 absences. And the definition of an absence in an online course is a missed deadline. So say you miss a deadline for like 4 discussions, right? You get zeros, but then you're also, so that, like, that's not good for you. That's, 8 points lost, which is, they add up. But also those are absences. And on your 5th missed assignment, you may be dropped from the course, okay? So keep that in mind and know that we're pretty serious about that. Technical problems online. So if you're having problems with Canvas personally, that's something you have to fix. Make sure you get yourself a stable computer, a stable place, and a backup plan. Where else can you go get internet if yours goes out? Can you go to the Starbucks? Maybe you are near MCC and you can go on campus, right? We have good free internet on campus. Maybe you're not, but maybe you have somewhere else you can go, a friend's house or something. Have a backup plan, because I can't account for your specific personal technical problem. If there is like a Canvas-wide outage and it coincides with a due date, I will offer an extension. But for you personally, I tell students, we have a midnight deadline. You might want to make sure that you do the work that morning or the day before, or at least a couple hours before that midnight deadline, so that, say you're uploading your final paper at 10 o'clock at night and you realize that your internet's down. you have 2 hours to drive yourself to a place that has internet. You have your paper done. The upload should take like 2 seconds once you're there, hopefully. So keep that in mind. Yeah. So late work. I do not accept late work. Okay. So keep that in mind. Once again, if we're, 5 weeks into the class and you haven't been keeping up with your work, if you send me a message and say, can I go back and do these 4 discussion boards that I missed, I'm going to say no. You have to stay up with what we're doing at the time that we're doing it. Yeah. And that's the other thing, is working pretty far ahead is difficult too, because, even a discussion, right? One part of the discussion is the initial post, but the next part is the 2 after posts, the replies. So say for whatever reason, you decide that you're going to spend 1 week doing all of the discussions for the semester, at least the initial posts. You're the discussions mean to help you out with the skills that you're doing in that specific unit. So it's not being helpful if you do those all way in advance. But say, for instance, 1 week you're going to have a really tough week and you go ahead and do like a discussion board early. Is it the worst thing ever? Not really, but it probably makes you discombobulated. So I do tell students that you probably have enough to do just with keeping up on the day-to-day of this course that I wouldn't work really far ahead if I were you. In terms of classroom discussion, I'd like you to read this part, but the idea being that our discussions, we try to be as civil as possible. This is a rhetoric and writing class. We don't often get into really controversial topics, but sometimes we do. Maybe someone writes on some topic that you completely disagree on. I ask you to be civil about it. I'm not asking you to debate each other in this class. You, as students, often write on topics that I disagree with, and I don't say, that's an F. I disagree with you. I think about the way you're structuring your argument and the ways you can better your argument. So I'm thinking about technique, not so much the arguments you're making themselves. So keep that in mind. We're going to be civil to each other. There's just certain types of things that we don't tolerate in this online classroom. Our course material was put together with the course competencies in mind. If we get to a point where you're saying, I don't want to read this course material because I think it's offensive, which I don't think you're going to have a problem with in this course, keep in mind, I don't have any alternate material or assignments. Anything that you write for this class is considered public. Not public on the internet, but it's public in terms of like your classmates and I are reading it. So if you don't want them to read something or myself to read something, don't write it for this course. I'm not asking you to do a lot of deep intellectual, personal soul searching in this class, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. Finally, all writing for this course must be written for this course. Academic dishonesty is serious, and I find out about it, and then it becomes a real big issue for you. So if you're running to a spot where you're having a hard time putting together a paper, it's always better to write something that's subpar than it is to turn in something that's plagiarized. Okay, so those are the major components that I wanted to go over. Our course schedule looks like this. So if you'll notice, our reoccurring deadlines are Monday before midnight, Wednesday before midnight, and Friday before midnight. So right now, get out a planner and literally every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday before midnight between March 19th and May 9th, put do something for my English class. Okay, because that's basically what you're gonna need to do for these next 7.5 weeks. So everything that's listed on the syllabus for this day needs to be completed before midnight. 99% of the time, the read activity needs to be completed before the discussion board post. Make sure you always give yourself a couple of hours to read and or view, and then a little bit of time to complete the post. And it all needs to be done before midnight that night. Same thing here. So on Friday, read, watch, and view, right? You will be watching, and viewing all of these things. You will be putting together discussion board 2 initial post and replying to things from discussion board 1. Okay? So if you'll notice, we kind of go through there. So there's, on Monday, you're putting together, the 26th, you're putting together a topic proposal, discussion board 3, and then Friday is March 30th is kind of a big day because while you're replying to each other's discussion board 3, you also have your rough draft 1 due. Now, the idea isn't that you haven't been working on your rough draft at all, and then you start it 2 hours before midnight on Friday, is that once you get the okay from your topic proposal, that you are working on it in between then. And like I said, this is a pretty quick turnaround, but this is the nature of a 7.5 week course. Okay. So that's basically what I have for you. Like I said, you'll have announcements, you'll have our modules that you work through, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, and final materials. I normally just make the module, so right now you'll just have start here in paper 1 module available, and then a little bit before we start paper 2 you'll have that module available. You can also go in to our class, like if you want to do assignments, you can navigate it that way, it's all there, or you can navigate it through discussions as well. That's fine too. There's grades. This is how to take a look at your grades. And then finally, this thing might be really helpful for you. This online tutoring thing. So maybe you've gotten my feedback and your feedback from your peers on an essay, and you want to revise it and get one last pair of eyes. I won't have time to do that, neither will your peers. Maybe you also don't have friends at home that can do that, but this is a good spot here, is you could submit your writing or career documents for tutoring, essay, grammar review, Spanish Language Center, nursing essays, paragraph review. So there's a lot of stuff that they can do. Like maybe that's what you want to do, is you want to submit it for editing, and you choose that. And you say, this is for English 102, and this is the title, Rhetorical Analysis. You could copy and paste the assignment sheet right there so that they know exactly what's expected of you. And then ESL, Business Technical Writing Specialist, or Creative Writing Specialist, or first available, you upload your file, you hit submit. And they will get back to you as within 24 hours. That's like a really good, helpful third set of eyes. Or maybe you missed the deadline for the rough draft, and if you miss the deadline, you're not going to get any feedback. So this is a good spot. So anyway, again, this is our English 102 class. It's a lot of work in 7.5 weeks, but it's really rewarding when it's done. So I'm really excited for this class. And so the next place you want to go is you want to start, the first thing that you're asked to do on the syllabus basically Wednesday before midnight is right here. You also should ask questions in the cyber cafe if you have any questions, or forward your email from your MCC account to the one you check, or set up your notifications here on Canvas. So, all right, take care. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.